Hey y'all, welcome back to the ranch. I'm Jared Paul, and it's been quite a while since we've worked on any bonsai here at the ranch. I basically took the holidays off, and since then I had pretty much hard pruned everything that was tropical and inside, so I've just been waiting for them to kick out some back budding and give you something to look at before I did an update video. So that's what today is going to be. I'm going to give you an update on my blue jacarandas and my flame trees that come with the Planter Choice Bonsai Starter Kit. It is the playlist that I get the most questions on, so they also do grow the fastest of all of my trees, so there are quite often something to update you on. So everything has budded back and it's looking good, so we're going to do a little bit of landscape work and some selective pruning today, and I'll just get you a good update on all those trees. So that's what's coming up on today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai. So here we have basically my prized bonsai tree, because it was the first kit that I started with, so it's going to be 5 years old in a couple of weeks, and because it's such a fast grower, I've gotten to do the most work with it. You know, the Pinus auristata and the Picea abies that also come with this grow kit. Picea abies I got to sprout up with a couple of different times, but upon transplanting, one died, and another time they just basically withered up. And my Pinus auristata, they're really starting to look nice, but currently dormant outside overwintering, and they're much slower growers. So I've literally only pruned those one time in the 5 years. For this, you'll prune 5 to 6 times a year. So I'll probably bring you in for a closer look. But when I pruned this thing back hard, it was right here. And what I was looking to do was get, you know, some more branching down low. It gotten really fugly, where this branch was just really thick, and then this thinner branch was off to the side. And so I left the thinner branch thinking, okay, a lot of energy will go to it, but still, even though it has like a green hue to it, nothing has sprouted. So some version of dormancy. I don't know if I want to nip the tip again to see if to get it to sprout. You know what, I'll do that. So like right up here, just nip up there. It has what looks like an inactive bud coming off there, and then this little branch could potentially have 2 or 3 branches. So I still have hopes for that one. It's like, you know, it's a good size with where the trunk is currently. The trunk, let's say, I don't know, as wide as my pointer finger, maybe a little wider. And I think this is a good height for it. So you can tell, obviously, this side has been towards the sunnier side of the window, so that's where the growth on these really tend to go and go quickly. So when I put it back today, I will probably put it back where this side is facing that area, and then just turn these rocks around. So that's actually what I'll do. That just changes the front. Nothing too crazy. I've got a local stone here that it's kind of like a white and black granite style metamorphic rock, and I'll just sit him in front today. And then behind that, this is a hand-painted stone with just a nice little landscape with some water and trees and grass in the background that my mother-in-law hand-painted. So, and then I gathered some very fine river pebble from the beach across the street at the state park, because they don't put high quality sand down there. They just basically bring in like construction sand, and after a nice rainstorm, you go scoop the top layer, and it's this fine multicolored pebble that I really like as a top dressing on top of soil. Let's see. So as far as soil goes, these guys like a sandier mix, nice and light. So I wouldn't do like a straight potting soil. Might just sit damp too long. So I would add in maybe a third sand with that and perlite. Just try to keep it lighter. I have this one currently planted in a mix that was for chili peppers. So that was nice and light, had a little bit of pine bark in it too. Let's see. So what I've showed in the past is instead of doing a prune on the branch, you could just take the top where it's growing out, because these grow, they kick off new nodes off of these single branches and just keep shooting off these nice big leaves that create a pretty canopy. So they can get pretty tall quickly, even though it's a slower growth season now because it's winter here in Northeast Connecticut, or Northwest Connecticut, in the Northeast of the United States. So it's growing slower, but it's still going to grow. So I'm going to, on this top branch here, I'm going to just pinch off that tip. You don't actually even need scissors if you want to, just for fun. You're snipping that tip, leave a tiny bit of room for dieback. And what that'll do is it'll activate some of these inner nodes here and potentially give you some more branching on this branch here, without giving it a hard prune during a slower growing season. If this was summer, I probably would have pruned it back to here, but I want to keep energy in the tree. No sense in losing it. It's not going to have too much benefits by doing it now in the winter anyway, so definitely hard prune during faster growing seasons. So early spring through end of summer. So I got this one coming out this way, and it's coming back across as well. So I think I'm going to nip that one as well. So now I have, if this one can activate, now I have nice trunk line coming up and then it branching into 3, and it's actually branching into 2, and then this one branches into 2. So pretty ideal. It's not going 3 out of 1 location. So yeah, when I put it in the window, this is the sunny part, and this will be the front. So why don't we take a walk around, and I'll show you the other blue jacarandas and flame trees. This one I've been calling a flame tree for years, and after investigating the leaf specifically, comparing between a bunch of different ones I had, this was actually mislabeled in the Planter's Choice Bonsai Starter Kit as a flame tree seed. It is a blue jacaranda. And if you go into the playlist in the last video, I explained that in depth. So if you are growing... All right, so this is a great example of a tree coming off of a hard prune. So you see all of that new growth coming out. They're usually opposite each other. And you see where I took that chunk off of it. So you see, it looks like there's some new growth coming off of the main trunk, but really they're withering, and I just don't see them continuing to form branches and have growth. I think they're kind of falling off, and this is where all the activity is going to be. It's unfortunate, but this one went through a really fun little transition. It was much taller and stringier. When I chopped it off, it had a beautiful little canopy for the season. So I'm looking forward to seeing the growth on this one. And this is another blue jacaranda. All right, so these blue jacarandas are actually one of my few successful cuttings. Let me back it out a little bit. They were from cuttings, and they were really long cuttings, and kind of as I've gone, I've shortened them back, but they're climbing out of a pot that also has some Italian fig that's about to bud back out again, some bamboo, there's some cactus in there. It was basically the cutting central, and it's just turned into a monster corner planting. So that's probably going to get a little bit of attention in the next couple of weeks. I'll just see what's going on in there. Might do some pruning. But blue jacarandas, not successful all the time, but possible to grow as cuttings. So back here, that's where I usually have the tree that we worked on first, that blue jack, that 5-year-old. And then right in front of it, I have another Delonix Regia flame tree. You see it's got that reverse V. And this is a perfect example of what I was talking about with the yellowing leaves. There's no bugs. I've inspected. Sometimes these guys can get white flies, spider mites, but they're resilient. So I haven't really lost, I'm not even going to say it. I haven't lost any because of that issue. But this is still a healthy tree. So what's going to happen is right there. Boom, boom. Come on. Right there in that little crotch, that's going to kick off a bud. And it wouldn't surprise me if a couple below. This was a wiring job gone wrong. I used a piece of yarn, did it terribly, and right where I bent it too much, it just kind of died off. But it's still alive and kicking, and it's young, so it's all part of the process. Then over here, this one was really looking lovely all year. It stays a little bit smaller. It's this is a flame tree, a Delonix Regia. So this one stays a little bit smaller before it kicks off its branches, which is awesome. And I just think it has to do with the specific seed generation I got, not necessarily because of the flame tree being better at ramifying earlier than the blue jack. But this thing's been sleeping for a while. I would say a couple of months he's been asleep. But you see, right at the crotch there, that's growth. So transitioning from outdoors to indoors and catching a pruning from me, it did not like, but it's definitely still alive. So that's good. That is part of the same generation that I set out to some bonsai broskies. If you check out Back Garden Bonsai with Ian, he has a great playlist on his, and it follows the same generation. So if you want a little bit different style, maybe he kicks some different knowledge than me on this specific plant, I would definitely check that playlist out. Yeah, I'm thinking that's it, y'all. So coming down the pipe, I'm getting a 4x8 foot grow tent finally, and I think that'll help me maintain some growth through the winter. Because, you know, I haven't been out of touch because for any other reason other than I just didn't want to bore you with videos when there wasn't any growth going on. So I was glad to get you guys some updates today. Oh wow, great. So it looks like my Schefflera has a whole bunch of mealy. All right, let's get this out of here, get it in the sink. I'm gonna hose that down. So until next time, y'all, I'll just be plugging away here at the ranch. Hope everybody had a great holiday. And looking forward to a great January and the rest of 2023. So from my family to yours, I'm Jared Paul. Cheers, y'all. All right, Joe. So real quick, just to show you what I did, I just hosed it down, tilting it on its side. So I washed off all the dead growth and infected growth because it pretty much fell off into my hand. And there's no more of the white mealies that are visible. So I got this insecticide super soap. It's all organic, safe for indoor gardening, and the family and all that. So I'm just gonna give that a little soak definitely down in here. I'm gonna let it sit for about 5 minutes. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna tilt it on its side and kind of just hose it down. Hose it down with the sink here on high pressure, just to clear out anything else that could be remaining. What I've made a mistake on in the past is using some sort of a spray, whether it's dish soap, highly diluted, and water, or another version of spray. And then I have put it back in its growth spot and it's burned. So remember, you gotta wash the stuff off. So, all right, this had just gotten a pruning, so those new leaves did not deal well with the mealies, but it should recover just fine. It's got a ton of healthy growth on it. All right, y'all. Take care.